Hey,
This
good evening. My name is Mark Ehrlich. The City of Boston Zoning Board of Appeals Subcommittee hearing for October 13th is now in session. This hearing is being conducted in accordance with the applicable provisions of the open meeting law, including the updated provisions enacted by the legislature regarding virtual hearings. The new law allows the board to continue its practice of holding virtual hearings through March 2023. This hearing of the board is being held remotely via the Zoom webinar event platform. This hearing is also being live streamed. In order to ensure this hearing of the board is open to the public, members of the public may access this hearing through telephone and video conferencing. The information for connecting to this hearing is listed on today's hearing agenda, which is posted on the public notices page of the city's website, boston.gov. Members of the public will enter the virtual hearing as attendees, which means you will not see yourself on the screen and you will be muted throughout unless administratively unmuted when asked to comment. Board members, applicants, and their attorneys or representatives will participate in the hearing as panelists, and they will appear alongside the presentation materials when speaking. Panelists are strongly encouraged to keep video on while presenting to the board. As with our in-person meetings, comments in support will be followed by comments in opposition. The order of comments is as follows: elected officials, representatives of elected officials, and members of the public. The chair may limit the number of people called upon to offer comment and the time for commenting as time constraints require. For that reason, the board prefers to hear from members of the public who are most impacted by a project. That is, those individuals who live closest to the project. If you wish to comment on an appeal, please click the raise hand button along the bottom of your screen in the Zoom webinar platform. Click it again and your hand should go down. When the host sees your hand, you will receive a request to unmute yourself. Select yes, and you should be able to talk. If you are connected to the hearing by telephone, please press *9 to raise and lower your hand. You must press *6 to unmute yourself after you receive the request from the host. Those called upon to comment will be asked to state their name and address first before they provide their comment. In the interest of time and to ensure that you have enough time to do so, please raise your hand as soon as Mr. Fortune reads the address into the record. Do not raise your hand before the relevant address is called, or the meeting host will not know to call on you at the appropriate time. These instructions will be repeated throughout the hearing. Today's board can, so I'm now going to take a roll call attendance of the board members. Mr. Fortune, are you here?
I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Better-Baraz, are you here?
Present, Mr. Chair.
Nice to see you both. And Mr. Fortune will now begin with a call of the list.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to call any deferrals or withdrawals for the 5 o'clock cases. If you can give me the address first, please. Mr. Chair, the last case of the day for the rediscussion is being deferred until December 8th. So I'm going to make a motion for deferral. I'm going to call into the record though. Case BOA 126-5152 10 Carson Street is being deferred until December 8th to the subcommittee at 5 p.m.
Can I have a second?
Barraza, second.
Mr. Fortune.
Yes.
Ms. Better-Baraz.
Yes.
And I concur that the motion passes. The item is deferred.
Calling the first case, calling BOA 135-8896, 16 Cook Street. This to confirm occupancy of a 2-family dwelling, complete demo and rehab to 2 residential units occupying 3 stories of the existing residential structure. There will be 2 residential units when completed. The violations, Article 62, Section 25, roof structure restrictions. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Derek Rubinoff from Derek Rubinoff Architect at 82 Spring Street in West Roxbury. I'm here with Anat Beck-Noctigal from our office as well, at the same address. And I believe owner Tyler Winder is on the Zoom as well here.
All right, Mr. Rubinoff, can you tell us what you're proposing?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. We're just renovating an existing 2-family. It's part of a strip of 3 row houses. It's at the end, and all these row houses have existing dormers. We are proposing to increase the size of our front dormer. So instead of having a at the top left corner as it is right now, it would stretch across most of the front of the house. And then in addition to that, we are proposing to add a rear dormer. If you look at these photos, you'll see, especially on the last page, that the house next door already has infilled the space between its two corner dormers into one long dormer. And what we're doing is proposing much the same thing. So we're looking at 16 Cook as our property, and then to the left, at the top left photo of that you're looking there, you can see that 14 Cook already has stretched its dormer. And so if you look at our top right image there, that's what we're proposing. So what we're trying to propose architecturally is very much in context with the nature of Charlestown architecture. I lived in Charlestown for 6 years, and keeping the language of traditional clapboard and trim. So on the rear, we're proposing much the same. At the bottom right-hand corner, you can see in the middle and then the left of the bottom, you can see the neighbor at 14 has a dormer back there as well. And what we're looking to do is add a shed roof dormer, as you can see in the bottom right, across the back of our space. And part of what we're trying to do here is make the existing two third floor bedrooms come to code in terms of adding or providing enough natural light per the state sanitary code, and making sure we have sufficient emergency escape and rescue openings for those existing bedrooms.
So, Mr. Rubinoff, it is currently listed as a two-family. That is how it's registered.
Yeah, the assessor shows it going back many years as a two-family.
So why is there a need to confirm occupancy as a two-family dwelling?
I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure if ISD did not have that entirely in their record or not. Sometimes the assessor seems to have different records than ISD.
Okay. And as far as the additions, so two questions with respect to the height. The expanded dormer is at the same height as the existing dormer, and number two is at the same height as the neighboring abutting dormer.
I believe so. Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay, so there's no change in the peak of the building, and it is consistent with the abutting building.
It's consistent, yeah, and it's within the allowable height as well.
Yeah, okay.
So our only violation is for roof structure restrictions.
Right. Ms. Barraza, how are the drawings?
Mr. Chair, the drawings are adequate.
Any questions from you?
No, I just noticed that in the front elevations, you remove the shutters and you are including a side light at the dormer at the top. Is that correct?
We have 3 windows that are proposed in the dormer on each side, and we've included shutters in the drawing on the top right-hand corner for the third floor. We did take them off below. That's something we could work out further in BPDA design review if the board desires.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak in favor or in opposition to this proposal?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of the board. Some background information on the community process. We have had some turnover with personnel. We understand an abutter meeting was held in August. Since then, we've had one resident reach out to vocalize their opposition to the project. There was some concerns with some work that was being done by a contractor on the area with possibly some damage to a house was alleged. That's about the extent of the information that we have at this time. With that, we defer to the board. Thank you.
So, Connor, let me ask, so was that opposition based on the activities of the contractor or on the concept that was being proposed?
I think it's both. I think there were some concerns. They didn't feel it was always historically a two-family, although I did check the assessing records. I believe it was the mid-2000s that it was switched over, was classified as a two-family according to the city records there.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, Secretary here. We do have one letter of opposition, and it's from 14.
It's from what?
14 next door.
Okay, and what's the opposition based on?
They're opposed to the project with the dormers, and obviously they're losing sunlight.
Okay, anybody else here to testify?
Mr. Chair, do you have a raise? Yeah. Paul, go ahead. Can you state your name and full address for the record, please?
Yes, Paul Holling, 2 Sheep Street, Charlestown, Mass.
Okay,
So, Mr. Ehrlich, the reason why it's being asked about, it's a single family. It only has one, electrical out, the electrical outside. I've been in that house 100 times. Okay. It's a one family. In 2003, Pat Hughes' daughter had a baby, so they put an extra kitchen in. I can put 5 kitchens in, if you know that, right? But when you go to sell it, the problem is this is the second person that's bought this house. I'm very disappointed, by the way, on the mayor's office just telling us that they're gonna go with you guys. I can't believe that after I had talked to them about this, but that's okay. We'll deal with that at a different time. 16 Cook Street. Can you believe this gentleman? He's got a row house, a 3-row house, sir. And yet he doesn't have a sprinkler system in there. But yet 14 Cook that's doing theirs over has a sprinkler system. Wow, there's a lot of stuff going on here that I can't believe that.
Okay.
that
All right, thank
Mr. Chair, I have no
you
additional
very much, Mr. Holly, and appreciate your comments.
Can I speak to any of those?
Is there anybody else? Well, hold on. Anybody else testify?
I have no additional raised hands at the moment.
All right, quickly, Mr. Rubinoff.
Yeah, I'll just point out that the zone is for a 3-family zone, the sub-district, and what we're proposing here is a 2-family, so there's no violation for use. And in terms of the building code and sprinklers, we're not required to put in sprinklers for the building code. We have means of egress for both units.
Yeah, no, we're aware of that. We understand that what has come before us is a roof structure restriction, and that's the only violation that applies to this board's decision making.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's nobody else to testify, can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval with BPDA Design Review paying special attention to that top dormer and on the exterior elevation to be consistent with this fabric.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Fortune,
Yes.
Ms. Baraza,
Yes.
and I too am in favor. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Calling the next case, calling VOA 134-9606, 417 to 423C West Broadway. This is Suite 406, the change of office to professional office, add partition doors, sinks, and cabinets. The violations, Article 68, Section 7. Use and regulations, a professional office above ground floor is forbidden. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Doug Stefanov, architect at a professional address of 423 West Broadway, Suite 404. My neighbor, future potential neighbor, Suite 406, comes before you tonight to ask your relief to place a professional office in an upper floor on this building on Broadway. It's a kind of a mixed use building. We have more office uses, health, beauty, and in this case, this is a Botox facility, which comes underneath professional office designation, which would, under our zoning code, be considered forbidden in this upper floor. Actually, even lower. Professional office would be allowed basement, first floor only. But it's a 4-story building. So that is the only reason we come before you.
Okay, it has been functioning as an office, but not a professional office. What has been the?
It actually was a professional office beforehand, but as you know, that approval goes with the owner, and
Yes.
they moved out, and we'd like
Okay.
to do a little construction.
Okay, so it was a professional office before. You want to be a professional office now.
Correct.
And there will be a certain amount of interior renovation.
Correct. Sinks and some cabinets and chairs. Yeah, partitions.
All right, seems pretty straightforward. Ms. Baraza, how are the drawings?
Drawings are adequate.
Okay, is there anyone here to testify either for or against the proposal?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm Anna White with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. ONS required this proponent to flyer 300 feet around this property, notifying residents and abutters about this change of use. We received no questions or comments about this proposal. At this time, we'd like to defer judgment to the board. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I have no raised hands at the moment.
Okay, just one question for the, for Mr. Stefanoff. So this is on the fourth floor of a multi-story building. How big is the building?
My guess it's about 25,000 square feet. It's a good
Okay.
sized building.
Okay. All right. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval
Second
for-
motion.
For this applicant only?
for this applicant only. Sure.
Okay. And Mr. Fortune, you second?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Fortune,
Yes.
Ms. Baraza,
Yes.
and I agree. Also, the motion passes.
Thank you all very much.
Calling the next case, calling DOA 126-8377, 594 East 7th Street. This is a change of art from a single family to a two-family. This is renovation, a rear addition, and finishing off of the basement. The violations, Article 68, Section 33, off-street parking is insufficient. And Article 68, Section 8.4, dimensional regulations, the extension into the rear yard. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Attorney John D. Barry, law office at 1156 Dorchester Ave in Boston, Massachusetts, 02125. With me on this proposal is architect Nicholas Landry of Design Resource Team with an office professional address of 546 East Broadway Street. What's being presented tonight is there's actually companion projects both at 594 and 596. I can present each individually or both of them together, whichever.
No,
the board
no,
would-
please, we want to present, have Mr. Fortune, can you read the other one into the record?
Okay, they were not together. That's why I was looking at two different applicants. That's
Well,
why they were.
let's do them as a companion cases.
All right. For the record, calling DOA 1337665, 596 East 7th Street. This is also to confirm occupancy as a single-family dwelling, change of occupancy from a single-family to a two-family dwelling. Work to include construct a rear addition, extend living space to the basement, and renovation of the building. The violations, Article 68, Section 33, off-street parking is insufficient. Article 68, Section 8, the additional lot area is insufficient, and Article 68, Section 8.4, dimensional regulations, extension to the rear yard.
All right.
Again, Mr. Chair and members of the board, Attorney John Barry, law office at 1156 Dorchester Ave, Boston, Mass. 02125. And with me on this proposal as well is architect Nicholas Landry of Design Resource Team at 546 East Broadway, 02127. What's being proposed here at both sites is a addition in the rear, as well as finishing off the basement, which would result in 2 bi-level units at each address, changing them from a single-family occupancy to a 2-family occupancy. Our clients on this project is the McDonough family. It is a owner-occupied. Both units are owner-occupied by the family. Essentially, what's being proposed here is the 2 bi-level units. The first unit 1 will be the first floor and the basement. With the addition that's being proposed, it would be a resulting 2,600 square foot, 4-bedroom, 4-bath unit for unit number 1. And it would be a 2,662 square foot, 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath for unit 2, which would be on the 2nd and 3rd floor if the proposal was approved. In addressing the violations, both have off-street parking and dimensional. The rear yard variance that's needing to be requested under Article 68, Section 8.4. In addition, 596 received the additional lot area insufficient violation. There is a plan right now for the current developers to add parking in the rear. We did not put that in the presentation because it still does not meet the requirement of 4 spots for each of the proposed units. I would just like to highlight that for the board, though, that there is a plan and easements that the owners do have in order to provide parking by accessing the site from the rear. But it is not all recorded, and I think that should be addressed during the BPDA process if this board was to approve these presentations. With me on this project is architect Nicholas Landry, if the board would like to have a full presentation of the drawings.
No, just answer some questions. The parking, we can only deal with what the parking, what's presented to us. So if you have no parking, you have no parking. Whatever you do in the future is another matter. So let's talk about the extending the living space into the basement. A couple of questions. This is actually a good elevation. What is the floor to ceiling height in the basement? What is the floor to grade height in the basement? How much of this basement unit will be underground? And what is, based on the plans, what is the use of the space in the basement?
The space in the basement is going to be a is living space. The basement is roughly 4 feet below grade. So it's about 50%. And then you can see there's in the rear, we've got a large patio area to bring a lot of light in the back of the building. So there will be bedrooms down there.
Okay, 4 feet. So it's 4 feet below grade. What's the ceiling height?
It's gonna end up being about 8 feet, 8.6 when we're done. I think this drawing might show a little bit less than that, but so it'll end up being about 50-50.
Okay, that's,
Yeah, the drawing shows
It's a
7.4.
7.6.
Yeah, I think 7.4.
So I think we're gonna be closer to 8 feet.
how are you gonna do that? By excavating?
Yeah,
Well, then you'll be able further. below.
yeah. So I guess it'll be more like 60-40.
Yeah, okay, well, that's.
60% undergrad,
Yeah.
undergrade.
60% underground, yeah, that's a problem in terms of the bedrooms, from my perspective, but.
Just for
Okay.
confirmation, there's 2 bedrooms on the first floor and then there's 3 bedrooms in the basement unit.
And
On both
so
of these.
what if? Sorry, go ahead.
No, Ms. Brazzi, on both units? There's two,
That's what I'm,
there's
right,
two bi-level units, right?
right, they're parallel, they're similar. So I'm just confirming that that's the intention, to have 3 bedrooms in the basement and 2 bedrooms on the first floor.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now. I think,
Okay.
if we need to keep that ceiling height at 7.6 to keep it so that it's 50-50, I think we can do that. If that
Okay.
would,
I mean,
if that would-
7.6 would meet code, but that's still 4 feet is not exactly 50-50 with 7.6, but more like 55-45 without having a calculator in front of me. There's also the BPDA commented, Ms. Barraza, that they're concerned about the lack of windows on the west elevation. And the
Correct. So
Yeah.
for both projects, it would be the side elevations that's not being shared by the party wall. There's very little windows.
And is that
so
something?
one of them is on the property line, which is why we don't have windows there. We could put some windows on the 596 on the other project, the one that's opposite this project, but this one.
Okay, so hang on. Rather than design on the fly, which I don't like doing, let's ask Ms. Barraza to weigh in on the overall scheme.
Yeah, so as you know, we noted in the past, the board traditionally has not really granted variance to bedroom units that is completely submerged. That being said, it does have 2 means of egress, and you're not really required to meet within the 44-inch sill height. So it's fine. It's more if we're okay with having bedroom units underground.
Right, and what do you think about the issue of the windows?
I think, I mean, this is really just allowing light and air from both ends of the building. It's a very long building. So there is a concern with lack of light and air, in the middle of the unit. I don't necessarily see that the elevations are on the property line, just from the site plan. It does look like you're, probably 5 feet from the property line. The elevations just is very minimum in terms of the windows. I think I found maybe 1 or 2. So there would need to be BPDA design review to add additional windows on the side elevation.
Okay,
We're happy.
we can definitely.
Okay, whoa. This is a conversation the board is having. Hang on. All right, any other commentary, Ms. Barraza?
That's basically my comment. Mhm.
All right. Is there anyone here to testify either for or against the proposal?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm Anna White with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. ONS held an abutters meeting for 594, 596 East 7th Street on August 3rd. The proponent listened to all questions and comments from attendees. There were concerns raised about parking. We've received letters of support and letters in opposition about this proposal. The Gate of Heaven Neighborhood Association is in support of the proposed development. At this time, we'd like to defer judgment to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, we have those, Mr. Secretary, I messed up, Mr. Chair. Oh, Mr. Secretary. We have those letters that the mayor's office has spoke of.
Okay,
So getting used to it too. Mr. Chair, I have no raised hands.
no raised hands. All right, well, I'm quite concerned about the bedroom units in the basement. I think there will be more than 50% underground, and I don't think that's consistent with the policies of this board over the many years, but I would entertain a motion at this point.
I
Real
like
quick,
to-
Paul,
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, real quick, Paul Sullivan, City Councilor, Elijah Michael Flaherty. Understanding your concern with the basement units, the council would go on record in support.
Thank you.
If I could just add, I believe that Councilor Flynn also sent in a letter.
Whoa,
of support.
whoa. We're taking either someone giving public testimony at this point or someone on the board making a motion.
Would you like a motion, Mr. Chair?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I would like to put forward a motion of approval with BPDA design review, paying special attention to the front and side elevation.
I'll second that motion.
Ms. Baraz, are you interested in anything about bedrooms in the basement?
Yeah, I think it's not really great living conditions, but it does have two means of egress. I think there is sufficient access to the exterior, so I'm okay in this case.
Okay. All right. Well, then we'll go. Well, okay.
And it's about 50-50, so if it was only one means of egress, it would be different. And
It's less than 50-50. But anyway,
Right.
you made a motion, Mr. Fortune,
I did second it, yes.
and so I'm doing a roll call.
Yes.
Ms. Barraza,
yes,
and I will vote against that. So the motion does not pass. So I will entertain another motion.
I'd like to put forward a motion of two proviso. One is BPDA design review on the front and side elevations in terms of adding additional windows on the side elevation. And the second proviso is to remove the bedroom units in the basement floor.
I'll second that motion as well.
All right, roll call, Mr. Fortune,
Yes.
Ms. Barraza,
Yes,
and I too agree. The motion passes with those provisos.
Ms. Barraza, this is Tom. Was that to remove, is it just the bedrooms in the basement? Do they keep like living space down there? or-
yeah, they can
Yes.
they can leave the living spaces, it can
Yep.
reshuffle whatever, but not have habitable bedrooms in the basement.
Okay, thank you.
Calling the next case, calling BOA 1370220, 25 Brook Avenue. This is a curb cut for one vehicle, off-street parking space. The violation is Article 50, Section 29, usable open space is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please. Is Mr. Lopes on? Antonio Lopes? I see him. He's up there.
Is he on here?
Yes.
On the panelist?
Yeah.
Hey,
Wow.
Antonio, you're on mute. I'll send her.
Can you hear
Okay,
me?
there you go. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, I can't see anybody or hear anybody. All I'm trying to do is get a.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Antonio Lopes, 25 Brook Avenue, Roxbury, Massachusetts, 02119.
Thank you.
Okay, please tell us what your proposal is.
My proposal is just to get one parking spot in my backyard. I've been going through this process trying to get a permit since 2019. And we've done the community meetings. There was no objections. All the neighborhood houses in this area has driveways and a parking spot. So I want to be able to get off parking in the street and be able to park in my backyard. So it's just a curb cut.
Got it. Okay, Mr. Lopes, let me ask you a few questions. The house's orientation, the front faces Brook Avenue, right?
Yes, sir.
And the curb cut would be on Moreland on the side.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And is there parking on Moreland?
What I can say is from Brook Ave to past where my house is, it's about 90 feet, maybe a little longer. And in that section, there's no parking because it's a one-way going down. After 90 feet, then the street opens up and it's open to public
Okay,
parking.
but from your property, from the front of Brook Avenue to the
Mr.
rear of your
Chair.
property.
Mr. Chair, could I just clarify? Mr. D'Amico has spoke on this. It might clarify maybe some of your questions.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you. In regards to 25 Brooks Avenue, this is Bob D'Amico, BTD. Although the curb cut would be on Moreland Street in the rear of the property, there is not ample room for safe access and egress onto Moreland Street. The width of Moreland at the point where the curb cut is proposed is only around 12 feet in width. In his opinion, he would like to request denial for this case. However, he will support whatever we decide. There is no parking on the side of Moreland Street, but if a car should ever park where the curb cut is proposed, it would totally block the street.
Okay, so according to Mr. D'Amico, there's no parking on that side of Moreland Street.
That's correct.
Okay, which actually seems to me an argument for a curb cut and parking to get, because I mean, if we're just replacing one on-street parking spot with one off-street, then it's a no net gain. But here, we're potentially getting a gain of one parking spot. So, okay, Ms. Barraza, any comments on the drawings?
Mr. Chair, looking at the Google, the only thing that's kind of missing from this survey is a rear step giving access to the second floor. Is that just missing here, but it's existing?
Yes, there is some stairs going up in the backyard, yes.
Right, but it's just missing on the survey plot plan.
Yes.
Okay. And thank you. That was my only question that I had.
Okay, so those stairs go from the back.
Yeah, so imagine 5'4", that's really, you really just have about 2'4" potentially of clearance before
Okay,
you
so
hit a structure.
Okay, so you go down the stairs and you'd be right in the parking spot.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, okay, got it.
But in the drawing, it does show the 5 feet clearance.
Yeah, yes, it does. Yes,
Right,
it does.
to the actual building, correct.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lopes. Is anyone here to speak in favor or opposition of the proposal?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer judgment to the board. Our office did hold an abutters meeting. No concerns were raised. We're unaware of any concerns from the neighborhood at this time. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chair, I have no raised hands.
Okay, again, it does seem to me like there's a net gain here of a parking spot. The curb cut is 12 feet, you know, one possible consideration might be to reduce it to 10. But
Correct.
you know, so I'm looking for a motion now.
I'd like to put forward a motion of approval with a proviso to have a curb cut of 10 feet as opposed to 12.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Mr. Fortune,
Yes.
Ms. Barraza,
Yes.
and I too am in favor. The motion passes without proviso.
Calling the next case, calling DOA 1349675 4 Dever Street. This is a demolition of an existing porch in the rear, construction of a new porch in the same footprint, and extension of habitable space on the second floor level. The violation is Article 65, Section 9. The floor to air ratio is excessive. Name and address for the record, please. Mr. Leon?
What's the name? I'm sorry.
What is it? Kenneth Allen?
Kenneth Allen. Oh, you see a raise-
Okay.
but is it Valerie Davis? Are you with Mr. Allen? I sent a request to unmute you. Hi, Valerie Davis, can you hear us?
Madam Ambassador, we can come back to that one. I'm gonna go to the next case. Calling the next case, calling VOA 1350338, 7 Larchmont Street. This is a small addition in the back of the house with elevator, bathroom to downstairs and closet upstairs. The violations, Article 65, Section 9, side yards insufficient, and Article 65, Section 9, the rear yard is insufficient. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Rob Passione. I'm from RP Architectural Studio. I'm the architect that worked on the project. Carol Fries is the general contractor who is also working on this project.
Can you give us your address for the record, please?